What an eventful day in South Africa while we were asleep. And I think I was still up at that time when there was a major arrest in South Africa. But before we get to that arrest, let's talk about a new dictator wannabe, the public protector. I wanted to say something, then I realized that she has issued out a threat to the people of South Africa, infringing upon our Section 16 of the Constitution, even though she gaslighted us about the very same section of the Constitution, saying that it doesn't mean that it's unlimited. But let me tell you something, ma'am. Freedom of expression is freedom of expression nonetheless. And secondly, what define insult? What do you mean insult will get us arrested or fined 40,000 rand for speaking our minds about how I personally think, do what you will with what I'm going to say. You are the president's protector, not the public protector. Because there is no way that the Constitutional Court will come to the conclusion that it had, even though it may not have mentioned you, that you erred in your findings and your remedial action in your report. But there is damning judgment nonetheless. The quiet part is your report. And now I'm finding it quite interesting that instead of protecting or defending your report, you are busy protecting the president, going as far as intellectually not even manipulating us, undermining us and saying that, well, the president wasn't there. It's his farm. And the money was in his couch, irrespective of who was in charge of his farm. Everything, I believe, as a businessman, whatever purchase, whatever interest, whatever profit that has been made, there would be reports. This manager of the farm would not have taken a holiday, vacation, leave, or whatever it is that you try to explain without first having probably their daily meetings. And also, there's no way that Cyril Ramaphosa did not know that this man who is about to seal a very big deal, $580,000, and he will just brush it off and say nothing. There'll be no reporting back, there'll be no asking of questions, and also the safety of the money. There's no way. You are lying, ma'am, through your teeth. And you think that the people of South Africa are stupid. And the reason why you have issued this so-called warning that infringes upon our freedom of expression, you thought you are going to get away. Ma'am, you're going to have to build a lot of jails, because we are going to talk about this and we are going to criticize you and we are going to ask for you to step down. As a matter of fact, I am starting that campaign for you to step down. We are not going to have a public protector that behaves like a dictator. We don't have dictatorship in this country, and there should never even a sign of it, let alone it rearing its ugly head on our constitutional democracy. You know what that means, right? I'm sure you knew this from first year law school. Now, you don't like what people are saying about your report? Maybe you should have done a proper job, ma'am, and stop protecting the president. The judgment that came from the Constitutional Court, I think personally, it also hits on your integrity as the public protector. Now, you have to define what insult means. What do you mean if we insult you? The president of this country gets insulted on a daily basis. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You are not above the law of this country. You are not bigger than the people of South Africa. And the constitution of this country is supreme to you. It gave birth to your office. Chapter 9. What crime would have committed in expressing ourselves about the works, shoddy works of the public protector? So build them jails because we are going to be filled in there. We're now done with you, ma'am. We are going to ask you to step down. You are dangerous to the constitutional democracy of this country. That was unnecessary. That was uncalled for. South African, we've had how many public protectors that since I've known? We had Thuli Madonsela. Thuli Madonsela was getting sworn at to this very day. She still suffers from people calling her all sorts of names. Did she invoke any provisions of the Public Protector Act? She never did. We had Busisi Wemkwebane after that. Oh, she had it. Oh, the people of South Africa came for her. Did she invoke that section of the Public Protectors Act to silence the people of this country? No. Wena, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? We are South Africans. I will remind you. And as a South African citizen, I am protected by the supreme law of the land. And I'm very much aware about Section 36 of the Constitution. And none of anything I've said thus far is insulting to you. It's more criticizing your whipping us this particular section of the Public Protectors Act because you want to muffle us. You want to shut us up. You want us to be silenced because of your nonsense reports. Is that an insult as well? Nonsense? So please, ma'am, step down. Step down. Is that an insult? Because we don't know what the definition of insult you. What do you mean? You should have defined it in that little rant of yours in that statement. I did not appreciate that as a South African. And I don't think any South African that understands their South Africanness, they appreciated that. So you can take that statement, especially that section of your statement, I don't know, do whatever it is that you want to do with it. But we are not going to adhere to it because who do you think you are? Yes, sis. Anyways, let's go to our next topic. The next topic is a warrant officer, Mangena. I'm sorry. He is basically burying himself in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, a hot seat. This man, if you were listening to the testimonies of Prince Lou and Steyn is the commander of the current person on the stand in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, warrant officer Mangene. This man, oh gosh, if there's a person that has taken cell keys and opening the cells, and then before he goes to the cells, he goes to the, I don't know what they call the closet where they keep the yellow jumpsuits, the orange jumpsuits. He actually is doing that. He took them and looked for his size and put them on, took the keys to the cells, opened and and locked himself in and threw away the key. That's what he's doing in the Madlanga Commission as he's testifying. Because tell me why you are a police officer that is office bound. Yeah, you are pushing paper at the South African Police Service. And you are doing statistics. You are basically the person that nobody sees. Nobody sees out there. You don't go to the ground and carry a gun and then you chase after criminals. That's not his job. He has no experience also in drug bust. Never done it before. He don't know what to do. But here he is. Get a phone call from traffic, who happens to be a Mr. Mashaba. Mr. Mashaba calls this gentleman, Mr. Mangane, and says, hey, there's a drug bust in, I guess, the East Rand. And then come over. He goes over, as I've mentioned yesterday, that crime scene was a mess. It was filled with people. And the reason why it was filled with people is because Mangen, instead of saying, hang on, Mashaba, why are you calling me? I'm a paper pusher. But no, he hops onto a black SAPS Bucky and goes to the East Rand where the drug has been busted by Mashaba. And he doesn't call for backup. He doesn't call the relevant departments, including narcotics and lab and you name it, because all these people need to be there wearing their suits to make sure that it's not dangerous substances. You might assume or suspect that it is drugs. What if it's something else? So they wear those suits to protect themselves from the unknown cargo type of situation. It's coming from Brazil with original seals, untouched, unopened. And so this gentleman gets there, but somehow, somebody did call 10-111. And 10-111, because it was, according to the Madlang Commission, they believe that the reason why Mashaba called Mr. Mangena, they already had a market for these 300 million rand worth of drugs. They already had a market for it. But now we already know, according to what we've been hearing in the Madlang Commission of Inquiry, the Big Five cartels. And now the Big Five cartel, I think, is complete. Now we know whom the possible people are. Mswazi, well, these are allegations, of course. Allegations. We have Mswazi, we have Kat Matlala, we have Mulife, we have Sibanyoni and Mswazi. So one passed on. But I still don't think that Kat Matlala was part of the Big Five. Kat Matlala was the runner boy. He was the small fish. But again, we will find who the other big fish is. But I think the big fish, one of the big fish has to be in the police. Yeah, you know who I'm thinking about, and you are thinking about that person too. So yeah, the plan the Madlang Commission believes is that Mashaba was going to hijack the consignment together with Mahane. But they got disturbed because their plan was not well planned. Somebody somewhere who saw what was happening called 10-111. Maybe they thought it was a hijacking. Maybe they thought there was some nefarious stuff going on there. And they called 10-111 and poisoned. So it's not East Rand. It has to be downtown. So they call Boysons. Boysons police station then dispatches their people, and hence you have a crime scene field of police officers. And when they got there, allegedly Mr. Mangena was trying to already take off with bags, 21 or 23 bags filled with bricks of drugs in the back. No canopy, not covered. They're all in these black bags, and they were going to Alberton because he had told one of his the people. No, he told one of the Boysons police officers that the thing was going to Alberton when it's supposed to be stored. The evidence stored in Boysons police station or in the SAP 13 store. So this man gets blocked, but think Prinsloo as well. Then they Prinsloo is the Durban one. It's Steyn, sorry. Then they realize that Steyn and them, they put 2 and 2 together and they realize that, they were trying to steal the drugs. Their own members of SAPS were trying to steal these drugs. To whom were they going to send them to? You know what I would have done? I would have done intelligence work. I would have let Mr. Mangena pass, and then we follow, because you need to follow the money, you see, and follow who the person that is going to receive this consignment. Arrest them all. So Mr. Mangena and 6 other police officers then found themselves in handcuffs. However, before they find themselves in handcuffs, you know what this Mangena does? Upon getting the consignment and it's loaded onto the police bucky that he driven, he makes an arrest. Not an arrest, he makes arrest of, I think, 5 people. One of the people that he arrests is the driver of the consignment. I mean, drivers don't know what the cargo is. I guess they just get told, bring a truck, and we load cargo and you ship it to this address. They don't know what is in the back. They have no idea. Anyways, so the driver gets arrested. Why does he get arrested with 4 other people? For dealing, not suspicion of dealing with drugs, but Mangena as well as Mashaba are sure that these are drugs. Remember in yesterday's video, I asked, Kanti, don't they have like these kits to test on the spot to tell whether this is drugs and what kind of drugs it is? Because they would have done a chemistry stuff right there on the spot, and the chemical reaction will say what drug this is. But no, Mangena as well as Mashaba knew, this is allegations, and once again, they knew that inside those bags, there are drugs, and then they make arrest. Now, when it's questioned by the Matlaka Commission, how did you know that these were drugs? Oh, the lights went off. Like, literally went off in the head. Because they couldn't explain it. Why were you, what made you to be certain that those were drugs? For all we know, those were blankets. You don't even say suspicion of drugs, but you are sure that inside there are drugs. And I'm like, yeah, but how would you know? Because you don't have the testing kit. This man he has open wide Hoshimampuru and Ebongweni. Open them wide like this with yellow, orange jumpsuit. And he's like, yeah, I'm serving now. I'm serving. And you can tell, Shampoo thing, he looks rather scared. His career is over. Anyways, let's go to a story that is very fascinating to me, I must say. I mean, you're a 60-year-old man and you call yourself Ferrari. Okay, I understand the whole Ferrari thing. He drives allegedly numerous Ferraris, and hence is called Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni. So here we are, me at 1 a.m. I was watching some TikTok videos, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, bad habit. And so while I'm busy laughing away because of some funny videos I'm watching on TikTok, somebody is getting arrested by the special task team. Yeah, that one that is led by General Ntlanhla Ufigile uNhlanhla ngabo 1 ekuseni at 1 in the morning and said, you are under arrest for extortion. Allegedly in 2025, Mr. Sibanyoni tried to extort 20 million rand, but I'm going to read the article and I got myself here, the Citizen article that was written by a senior journalist by the name of Faisal Patel, 12 May 2026, and the article came out at 8:15 in the morning, and the headline says, taxi boss Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni arrested in Mpumalanga. Actually, from what I hear, he was arrested near Centurion and then driven back to Mpumalanga, where he the crime of extortion, or the alleged crime of extortion, was committed. Remember what Ntlanhla said? We will catch you with something small while in the background we are busy with something big that we want you to get convicted for. And I think this is one of those. Sibanyoni is allegedly linked to underworld figures, including Vusmuzikat Matlala. The South African Police Service SAPS has confirmed that 3 people have been arrested, with one of those believed to be taxi boss Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni. SAPS spokesperson Colonel Mavela Masondo confirmed to the Citizen on Tuesday morning that the arrests were made in Gauteng and in Mpumalanga. Arrests. The Mpumalanga Organized Crime Unit of the SAPS has arrested 3 suspects, aged between 46 and 60, for extortion in connection with a case reported in Kwaggafontein in 2025. Among them is a prominent businessman. It is alleged that the suspect demanded money from a businessman over an extended period of time until he reported the matter at Kwaggafontein police station. The case was referred to the SAPS Mpumalanga Organized Crime Unit for further investigation, which led to the arrest Masondo said. So from what I understand, as we know that the extortion, especially in the construction sector, you would have a bunch of people when you are busy putting up a structure, whether that is a tender from government or it is I don't know, a contract from China or wherever, and then they want a piece of that particular construction, probably a share of some sort. If you refuse, then unfortunately, some people have lost their lives by the construction mafia, and others have been thrown out of business altogether. They hijacked the entire construction site and the contract itself, and then they would do the rest of the construction. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Who comes up with nonsense like this, guys? When you told yourself that I'm going to exist on this earth to torture people, I'm not going to work hard for what I earn. And I always ask myself, you are wearing, and you are driving a Ferrari, you're wearing Louis Vuitton and Gucci's and all of these things. And when you put them on in the morning, you have to look yourself in the mirror, don't you? When you look yourself in the mirror, you're telling me that you are proud of what you are putting on because you worked hard for it? There is no way. There is no way. There is no way. I refuse. I refuse. Now, the charges are the suspects are expected to appear at the Kwaggafontein Magistrates Court on Wednesday, the 13th May 2026, facing a charge of extortion. One suspect remains outstanding at this stage. The police cannot rule out the possibility of adding more charges against the arrested suspects in relation to other cases as the investigation continues, said Masondo. Like I said, what Mtlatlam Khwanazi said, strategically, they will catch you for something small while the big stuff is coming later on. Police commended the acting provincial commissioner of the SAPS in Mpumalanga, Major General Zaf Mkhwanazi, has commended the members from the Mpumalanga Organized Crime Unit for the arrest. The arrest of these suspects sends a clear message that extortion will not be tolerated. Business owners and communities must be able to operate without fear of intimidation and criminal demands. I commend these men and women in blue for their dedication and swift action in tracking down the suspects across the provincial lines. We urge anyone who is victim of extortion to come forward and report it. SAPS has specialized units in place to investigate these cases and ensure that those responsible face full might of the law, said Mkhwanazi. Guys, if you ever been a victim of extortion, you have been invited by the police to go and open a case. Sibanyoni's link to the underworld figures. Sibanyoni has been allegedly linked to the underworld figures, including Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, with allegations that Matlala attempted to murder the taxi boss in Centurion in 2022. I wonder why. Is it tariffs? Okay, is it turf wars? That's what I'm trying to say. According to the state's draft indictment, the night of 10 August 2022 turned violent at the Centurion Golf and Country Club estate when a white BMW sped past the entrance and gunfire erupted. An occupant of the vehicle allegedly opened fire, triggering a fierce shootout with a security guard stationed at the gate. Amid the chaos, Sibanyoni was struck and wounded, caught in crossfire of the sudden eruption of bullets. The end of the article. It's like reading a Wild Wild West movie script. I'm telling you, that's how it sounds like. So that is what is going on in South Africa recently. But I want to say once again to the public protector, Madam, step down. Asisakfuni. You are not you're not to be trusted. You are dangerous to our constitutional democracy. That nonsense that you said there, I'm uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable as a South African, and no South African should feel comfortable having a public protector that issues a threat of arrest or a fine of 40,000 rand, or both the conviction of no more than 12 months and 40,000 rand for simply expressing yourself freely in this country. Can you imagine if she was president of the republic? We would have a dictator in our hands. Yes, sirs. Anyways, fellow South Africans, I will see you a little bit later. I'm interested to hear what are your thoughts. I need to get back to work. Things are hectic around here. Thank you all so much. I'll see you. Please, whatever you do, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, take care of our beautiful country. Defend her with everything you've got. Look what's happening. Thank God for Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Thank God for every South African that is fighting for this country. Goodbye.